Decentralized autonomous organizations. Here to explain what those are, our crypto contributor, Sonali Basak. Sonali, it's complicated, but I know you can boil it down.
Yeah, let's try to boil it down for you, partially through the use cases. These are decentralized autonomous organizations. They have different voting structures that tend to decentralize and get together groups of people who want to invest in certain projects or give to certain charities. And some examples of this that we've seen are, for example, ConstitutionDAO, which raised about $47 million to try to buy an original copy of the Constitution. Of course, we know they were outbid by billionaire Ken Griffin. PleaserDAO, which has invested in a series of NFTs and has given millions of dollars to charities, and UkraineDAO, which has also raised millions of dollars for Ukraine in the wake of the start of the Russian invasion in Ukraine. So we have a bunch of ways that these have been used, from venture funding to charities. It's going to be interesting how they continue to take shape, Emily, in the process of investing more through digital ecosystems.
All right, Sonali, thank you. I want to bring in our next guest for a deeper dive here. Will Papper and Ian Lee, the co-founders of Syndicate, joining us now, which is shaping its own role in the DAO space. Ian, I want to start with you. There are plenty of definitions for DAOs out there. In the simplest terms, what is a DAO to you?
Yeah, the way that we think about DAOs is that it's a Web3 technology that enables communities to coordinate capital natively on the internet. And if we think about the applications of that, it's pretty profound in terms of how, communities, people, and capital work together. And so one of the biggest application areas of DAOs, in our view, is the area of investing. And when we think of investing, it's not just about the allocation of financial capital, but also the allocation of human capital as well. And so what we're building at Syndicate is the Web3 infrastructure to power investing on the internet through our infrastructure.
So, Will, on that note, talk to us a little bit more about your view for how Syndicate fits into the future of DAOs and decentralized investing in general.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been involved in the DAO space since investing in the very first DAO in 2016. I'm called the DAO then because there were no other DAOs at the time. And the way we see investing moving is becoming dramatically more community-owned and dramatically more transparent and dramatically more accessible. And the interesting thing is that DAOs themselves, the structures they enable, are not new. For example, under the hood, Syndicate uses investment clubs, which have existed for over a century. But the thing that is new is how easily and quickly and cheaply you can coordinate it. Whether that's ConstitutionDAO, which I was on the core team of, raising $40+ million in under a week, whether that's UkraineDAO, raising large amounts of money to go to Ukraine at the time when they need it in a very acute time of crisis. That speed and that efficiency is incredibly new, even if the structures themselves are things that have existed before.
Since the start of UkraineDAO, I'm wondering, you were part of the early members of the ConstitutionDAO as well, from what I remember. Are there ways that DAOs have changed, Will, that surprised you?
Yeah, I think that the interesting thing is that previously people thought that DAOs would be very long running. So the idea of the DAO in 2016 was this kind of ecosystem fund to fund projects on the Ethereum network for a very long time. And some DAOs are being referred to now as financial flash mobs, essentially DAOs that form very quickly for a specific purpose, execute on that purpose, and then in some cases keep going in a lighter weight way or dissolve completely. So I think that that's one thing that's really fascinating, is that if you wanted to set up, say, a fund for these things, it would take many, many months of work. But because DAOs can be spun up so much more quickly, they can also be spun down so much more quickly once their purpose is done.
Mm-hmm. Are there structural issues, Ian? Are there governance issues that really still need to be worked out among DAOs when people are thinking about entering into them?
Yeah, one of the biggest things that we see is one of the potential limiters for the impacts of DAOs is how legally these things are going to be viewed and handled, right? And so a lot of the members and originators of these DAOs, they want to do the right thing, right? As Will was mentioning, most of these organizations that come together using DAOs on the internet are trying to accomplish a really specific and important purpose, whether that's funding projects or people that deserve it, whether that is funding some kind of philanthropic or nonprofit related or charitable purpose, or in the case of UkraineDAO, trying to provide aid to the people that need it the most, right? And most of these organizations and these people, I mean, they're not trying to do bad things. They're not trying to go around the laws. They don't want to, be investigated. They don't want to go to jail or anything like that. And so what DAOs need are actually legal pathways where they can accomplish their mission and also protect the purpose, the mission of the DAO, as well as the members of those DAOs. And so that is a big part of what Syndicate and we are doing, is providing these very tried and true legal pathways for people to use this technology for the purposes that are really, really important. So as Will mentioned, investment clubs as a legal construct have been around for more than 100 years. And some of the things that we're working on are what are some other legal designs where people can utilize this technology and not need to worry about whether or not they're maintaining compliance with various regulations, whether it be the SEC or otherwise.
So there's definitely concerns that this can all get a little messy. Will, I'm curious, what have been the learnings from the ConstitutionDAO situation, and where is that project today?
Yeah. So ConstitutionDAO, after we lost the bid, we spun down and we effectively dissolved the DAO, refunded the money, and people could get their full contributions back. One thing that's very interesting about ConstitutionDAO, I helped a lot with their compliance, just personally helping guide them through it. And one thing is that we could not give ownership of the Constitution. We could give people the ability to vote on where it was displayed and, for example, how it should be presented, but we couldn't give them ownership of the document itself. And I think there's this regulatory gap we see right now where people really want ownership, but the current laws as they're structured don't allow for that to happen. So in reality, the current investor protection laws are leading to people getting even less ownership and even less protection in the current state. So we're definitely on a path where there's a conflict between the way the regulations are written and the desires that people have. And I hope that that conflict is resolved where people can have actual ownership of these DAOs in the future.